Hi Igor, my name is Maria. Today you're going to speak with me, with Bogdan and with Andrei. Thank you, first of all, for registering to this interview, to this mock interview. I'm going to start by asking you to tell us something about yourself. Tell us about your last experience, like in your previous job. And from down, we will, speak about what are you interested. The guys will have some questions for you. Bogdan is we're gonna ask you questions on the technical part, and afterwards, Andrei is gonna ask you some questions as well. The interview is gonna be structured in 4 parts. The first one is gonna be with me, then with Bogdan, with Andrei, and at the end of the interview, we're gonna ask you your questions, and we're gonna have a talk.
I understand. Okay.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name is Igor Novichenko. I'm from Ukraine. I live in Kiev. I'm 33 years old, and last year I decided to become a programmer. I had some problems with my. I quit my job because I had some issues with physical health, and I decided to extensively learn programming.
Okay.
And since that, I'm studying programming about 1 year, and I have some problems with this because I don't clearly see opportunities. I want to describe my previous working experience. Well, lately, to be honest, I haven't had a good job. I was an electrical engineer. A long story short, it's not for me.
Well, okay, so you tried it and you decided it's not for you.
Yes.
Okay. For how long? How long did you do your previous job?
Maybe 3 years. 3 years.
Okay. Why did you choose Python? How did you decide to go with Python? Why Python?
Well, I made a little research and find a lot of materials, and I started to one course, and that was my start. To be honest, it was pretty shut in the air.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Okay. Did you in your research decide or have a preference about the companies or the country you want to work in? I don't know how the opportunities in Python are in your country, but do you want to work worldwide, or do you want to, find a job in your country?
Well, I'm looking forward to move from Ukraine because I learn. I know some Spanish as well as English, and I want to relocate to some country of Latin America, to be honest.
Okay, well. Okay. That's very nice. Because you're going to be asked on the next interviews you're going to have, people will ask you if you're willing to relocate. So that's a good thing, because there are remote jobs. In Python, in programming, you'll be having a lot of opportunities working remotely. But also after the COVID will pass, or will demolish, so I don't know what happened with it. people will start working in offices, and people will ask you if you are willing to relocate. That's why I want to know.
I understand. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. And from my part, I don't have other question for you. I will let Bogdan go on the technical part of this interview, and afterwards, Andrei. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Hello, Igor. So, can you tell me more about your experience with Python? So, what kind of applications have you done? With what have you worked and stuff like that?
First of all, I started. It's pretty spontaneous learning. I stuck with one course and I didn't finish it. That was the beginning of learning.
Okay.
Then I stick with theory, a lot of exercises. The problem is I have a little practice and real project. I do not understand it from the beginning. I have done tons of one-step exercises, a lot of reading, but it was not the best way, I think. Then I have done one course at Pre-Code Camp. I completed it and have a certificate. Well, it was pretty easy. I've also done some other courses, but do not complete them. Well, so to describe my experience with Python, it's pretty chaotic.
Okay.
I can stick to one, can choose one direction for me, as for now. And this is the most problem with Python. It's not problem to learn some. It's problem to choose. So I'm pretty struggling for now, but I'm trying to go forward. Currently, I'm learning actively databases, database management systems, and Python.
Okay. So, what kind of databases? What type of database do you learn right now?
I learn SQLite, okay. And I've just started to see Postgres.
Okay. And from what little you have learned about Postgres, can you tell me a difference between SQLite and Postgres?
SQLite is simple embedded database that allows quickly do some simple stuff. It's not suited for big project or high load. With Postgres, you can do another things. First of all, it's object-oriented database, which allows you to simplify developing process, because there is a lot of languages that support this paradigm. So, database is also object-oriented. And this is a full-featured database that can handle big projects.
Okay. That's actually great. It's a really good answer. Okay, so in Python specific, can you tell me what is the difference between a tuple and a list?
First tuple. Tuple is immutable data structure that which serves as immutable container data structure. So, and list is mutable structures. We can add elements to list, remove them, and thus modify list. With tuple, we create it, and it becomes constant.
Okay. Have you learned something about OOP concepts in Python?
About what concept?
Object-oriented programming in Python?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, can you tell me what you know about object-oriented programming? If you know some principles, something like that?
Okay, object-oriented paradigm was created to resemble the real world objects. We can represent in our code objects and concepts of real world. We can assign some properties to object, assign some methods to it. Thus, object have its behavior that resembles what we have to do, the object to do.
Okay, good. That's good. Can you tell me about inheritance in object-oriented programming?
Yeah, Bogdan. Inheritance is the concept in which one class inherits some properties and methods from another, and this allows to reuse some objects while creating another. It allows reduce the amount of code logically struct our program and establish some relationships between parent and child.
Okay, that's good. That's a really good answer. Can you give me an example of when you would want to use encapsulation?
I understand encapsulation is a process of storing in the object its attributes and make them restricting access to them. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. That's very good. Yeah.
So the example of encapsulation, we create object, we assign to it its properties, and make them some of them, let's see, private. And when we have inheritance, well, Bogdan, I think I can clearly explain it well.
Okay. Just so you know, you have the concepts. You know the concepts of inheritance and encapsulation. Maybe you lack the practice of using them in real life applications.
Yeah, you're right.
But your concepts and your understanding of the principles is good. You're actually correct when explaining them, which is very good. Can you tell me a little bit about a lambda function, what it does?
Yeah, Bogdan. Well, a lambda function is the anonymous function. It serves. We can create a function on the go. We do not have to define it in our code before we use it. And this allows to use it in such constructs as with higher order functions, the functions which allows to take another functions as arguments. So, for example, we can use it in in map, in reduce.
Okay.
We can use it in list comprehensions.
Okay, great. That's a very good answer. Since you mentioned them, can you tell me what are list comprehensions?
This is the way of constructing lists. With list comprehensions, you can do such things as building a new list, while we can make some filtering on it and to filter some elements.
Okay.
And list comprehension resembles the behavior of for loop. We can do things.
Okay. That's good. That's a good answer. Have you worked with some web frameworks such as Flask or Django?
Yeah, I a little bit familiar with Django because I started to learn it a couple of months. That I decided to start some projects. I started them and understand that I lack of understanding of the databases because the Django is first of all is manages the data, and you can understand how to store the data.
Okay.
So that's why I'm currently do a lot of stuff with databases to understand how to store these objects. Well, so I have some understanding of Django.
Okay, that's great. Can you tell me one advantage of Django? I mean, why would you use it in your applications?
It allows to do things quickly. It has some predefined schemas, structures that allows to create web applications very fast. We don't have to learn to write every module. We just pick the needed module and use it in our application, and we can create some module and reuse it.
Okay.
Lately.
Okay, that's great. That's a really good answer. So I'm gonna ask you one final thing, and then you're gonna get to talk to Andrei. So, do you know what a decorator is in Python?
I'm a little bit familiar, yeah. Decorator is a function that serves to that modificate behavior of another function or class. The main purpose is to separate the definition of our function or class and its behavior, while adding some modifications to it.
Okay, that's a good answer. You're right, which is great. Okay, so I have no more questions. That was actually very good, so congrats. And I'm going to let you talk to Andrei.
Thank you, Bogdan.
Thank you very much.
Okay. My questions will be a combination of technical and situational and things that you might encounter in a company. We will talk about use cases. We will start with one example problem, if you want, or application, and then we will discuss how you're thinking of solving that that application or the questions that I have for that application.
Okay, Andrei.
Okay, so let's start with if you can tell me, I know you haven't worked in industry, but have you encountered anything about agile and agile principles from your research? It's more of a software development knowledge, not necessarily Python or programming specific.
Well, I don't actually know a lot about Agile. I know that this is a methodology that allows to communicate and develop the product more quickly, more that allows more quickly because of specific type of managing the team that works on the project.
Yeah, you are correct. That's why it is used. It does help in some cases to speed up development and reduce errors. Do you know, or can you think of what are the steps for creating a software application? Like, if you can walk me through how you would start building an application, what steps would you take?
Pretty hard language question for me because of, but I'll try to guess.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
When you want to develop something, in this case the application, you can firstly you can think ask questions the purpose of this application, what this application need to do. Then you can create a model.
Yeah.
Maybe graphical representation, some to understand its structure and behavior. Next, you need to choose the instruments to build application, the particular language, maybe, or framework that allows effectively construct it. Finally, you need to implement it. Not finally, because there is you also need to test it, and push to the production.
Yeah.
I think so. This is it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good answer. It's exactly that. Those are the main steps when you're developing a software application. So you understand it well, and you will be faced with having to do some work in each of those steps. That's why I was curious if you know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The one thing is no. The second thing is doing.
Yeah, it's normal when you first start out because it helps for you to know all these things and to have a good theoretical understanding of them, because when you will be faced with actually doing it, it will be quick for you to learn and practice it, rather than having to learn it then or not knowing what to expect. Now you at least have an expectation, and you know what to expect from a job, which is a good thing. Okay, now let's start the use case. Let's say that we are working together and we need to design an application that predicts machinery malfunction. The application we've built has a few components. The first component is a component that receives data. It receives information about machinery and historical data about the behavior of that specific machinery, and then it tells us what is the probability for that machine to break. The second component is one that receives and stores all the information from the machines we have available, let's say in our factory. We have a lot of machines, and each of them is continually sending data to our servers about how they work, temperature, pressure. You can imagine various parameters from their sensors. And then we take that information and we store it into our database. Mm-hmm. And then we have a final component that is sending email notifications to a list of people when the system predicts that there is one machine that will malfunction, or at least one machine that will malfunction within, let's say, the next 2 days. Is that okay so far?
I think so. I think so. I understand the problem. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, what our first task that we need to solve is we have these components, but they are all separate. They don't communicate with each other. They're not connected. So our first task is to put them all together.
Excuse me. Can you name these components one more time? Data storage and the send notification.
I'll go through them again. So we have one that predicts when something will break.
Yes.
We have one that gets data and stores data. And one that sends a notification when something might happen.
Okay, understand.
Okay, but they all, at the moment, they're not connected. How would you think of connecting these components? What communication protocol, or how do you think they should communicate with each other?
Okay, as I understand, this is a pretty important problem. We need to predict crashes, and we need to handle them and to prevent these crashes. And we have some system that can we get data from these machines. We centralized store its data.
Correct.
And process its data. Some use some algorithms to predict what machine will be broken in the few days.
Exactly.
So, as I understand, we need to get data from our machine through remotely. We can use some protocols. The simplest I can guess is HTTPS, Secure Hypertext Transport Protocol, and get this data to our storage.
Yeah, that's one solution, and it's a good approach. We can connect them via HTTP or HTTPS. Better to use HTTPS. Why do you think I just said that? Why do you think it would be better to have HTTPS versus HTTP?
Because it's a secure protocol. It has encryption, while data is sent in exchanging. It's ciphered with and the only participants in exchange can decode it.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, now we said we have a component that gets and stores data. What database would you use for this? Considering that the data is received very fast, so we get one data point every second.
If we have a huge amount of received data, I think we need to store it correctly. Moreover, if we have to process a large amount of data, our database structure has to resemble some big data principles and store data correctly for fast processing.
That's correct. Can you elaborate more on this? How would you think of organizing the data?
I think we should store the data in tables with some pre-computed attributes, with flat tables, not fully optimized, maybe in the second normal form, with some redundancy. This allows for faster computing then.
Yeah. Would you, now that you said you're gonna do it in a database that's pretty denormalized, so you wouldn't normalize it too much.
Yeah.
What would be one advantage is that you have the data in there and it's faster to retrieve it because you don't need to do many joins. But what disadvantage we might have storing it this way?
We have to control manually. We have to manually control the data quality, the data anomalies. We might to represent some data anomalies if we handle data wrong way, because the database doesn't restrict it internally.
Exactly. So you might end up adding in garbage data just because there's no restriction, and we need to do that in our code. So basically, we will need to build another component, or part of this component would be a data cleaning and data validation mechanism. Because we need to go make sure that before we do any operation of adding data, the data is in the format we want and is correct. But that's good. It's a good answer. Okay. Now, what types of operations would you allow on this data? More specifically, would you allow people to modify the data and update it, or you're thinking only of inserting data and reading data?
I don't think this data need to be updated because this is a historical data, and this data can need to be only be recorded and logged.
Yes,
and stored.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a very good answer. You understand the problem very well so far. So well done. Okay. Now I'll try one more question, see if I can catch you with it. So far I didn't do a good job. You answered all my questions. Now let's say that our data science team developed a new algorithm for predicting when something breaks down. And we need to integrate this new algorithm within our application and also keep the existing models alive. Because we have some clients that rely on the current algorithm and we want some clients to use the other algorithm. How would you accommodate this request, and how would you think of integrating the two algorithms working side by side?
Well, we have we have an application. We have that do some task that already have some algorithm, and we need to develop a similar but another algorithm which handles which do job another way. And we need to integrate it into the application. I think I can't answer this question because of I don't completely understand the full scheme and the practical usage of this.
Okay, if you want, you can ask me more questions, or I can give you a bit more of a detail about it. Imagine the question basically is related to when you have an application that you want different versions of it to be available to different people, because you might have sometimes the need for your application to run to be developed and run in a certain way in China versus the States. And essentially you have the core of the application be the same, but you might not be able to do certain things in China that you can do in the US and vice versa.
Okay. No, maybe you, to make things simple, maybe you could integrate some trigger in your application, which you when user starts to use this app, user has some attributes, some IDs, and we pass into our algorithm or function which implement algorithm this trigger attribute, and thus we can modify its behavior, maybe with decorator.
Yeah, technically, that's what you would do. So basically, you would want to have some way of first knowing where or who the user is, to be able to then pick the right algorithm for the user based on some logic, some business logic that you would have implemented there. And the way you would do it is, like you said, you would find, because these are components, what you would probably end up doing is you will have a small generic prediction component, and that generic component will then pick an algorithm based on some user properties, like you are saying. So if, let's say it's a country-based decision, you would just have that generic prediction component that just knows what algorithm to pick, choose based on the user's country which algorithm the application should use further down the road. And this is also something called a design pattern. Maybe you heard about them. This is a factory pattern that you could use in there.
Design patterns. I understand. Okay.
Have you done any design patterns or read about them?
I watched a video a couple of days ago. I tried to watch, but I think I should do it more to understand the situations like this.
I think it helps. It's good that you started. At the beginning, some of them you might not fully understand them because you don't have the practice and you haven't seen the problems in real life, so you can relate to them. But it's good to know them because it helps you pretty much in programming. You have many problems that are similar and can be grouped into specific solutions, classes of solutions, and then each of those classes is actually can be a design pattern. So when you have a problem like we just discussed, that you want to create objects based on some external logic, you mainly use a factory pattern. So that your code doesn't have any hard-coded if-else's inside the code. You kind of you do a delegation to an object that is responsible for picking the right object to create. It's like a basic.
Wow. I definitely have to know them. Okay.
They're very interesting. Bogdan has a series on YouTube about design patterns in Python. So he can share that with you if you want.
Okay, I'll see.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions. If you have questions for me, we can go through them now or at the end. It's up to you.
Well, Andrei, it was pretty interesting, and I learned some important things, and I definitely need to start expand my knowledge in some fields. So thank you for this interview. Okay, I don't have questions.
Okay.
For now.
So we will give you our feedback if that's okay with you. So I will start with mine, then Bogdan, and then Andrei for you.
Okay.
So from my point of view, you know a lot of things. So any interview you will have for a beginner or for a junior, because as you said, and from your CV and LinkedIn, you haven't done any work or have any job in Python before. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna pass the HR interview because you're well intended, you're a hard working guy, and that can be seen from your LinkedIn, from your interview, and also from our talk. So
Understand.
so it's a plus. You're gonna pass the HR interview, but I wanna talk to you something. I mean, I wanna help you build a better CV or a better LinkedIn profile because your skills and your knowledge and everything you know is not. You cannot see that from your LinkedIn and from your CV. So after this interview, when you wanna talk more about how to change the LinkedIn and the CV or how to improve them, we can do that anytime. I mean, just write to me and I will help you do that because you will need a better CV and a better LinkedIn profile to apply to jobs. And first of all, when HR sees your CV, that's the first person that will go through your CV and multiple other CVs like yours, and will decide if you go forward on the next step. So you will need a good representations of all the knowledge you have so far. You know.
Understand. Yeah.
Because from this interview, you know way more than you show in your CV or in your profile. You know, you're way good, better, and good knowledge on everything than you can see on your LinkedIn.
I understand that.
Like it's a plus. You're gonna pass the HR.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go next, and I'm gonna tell you that we had interviews before when we worked, me, Maria, and Andrei, and I believe that for a junior position, I think you're the guy that knows the most things. So you should be very proud that you yourself have taught yourself these things, and I believe you would pass the technical interview with no issues whatsoever. So you should be very proud of your achievements, and congrats.
Thank you, Bogdan. Okay.
Okay, I'll give you my feedback. I think from again, it's all related to your position. Like Bogdan was saying and Maria was saying, I think you are selling yourself short. You do have a lot of knowledge. You might not have practical expertise, but you have a lot of knowledge, and you are an analytical thinker. You can take a problem and break it down into smaller chunks and then solve each of those chunks independently and put it all together in the end. So this is a very good plus for a job in computer science or programming or what you want. This is good. So one thing I would advise you to do would be to first think of what would you like to program. So would you like to program web apps, mobile apps? Would you like to do like low-level coding, like embedded software, microchips and microprocessors? And once you've decided on an area, try to start your own project. If you don't find any work until then, any like commercial work, try to start a project with about something that you like and start programming that way, because you'll gain exposure to many of the practical aspects of the job, even if you're just doing it as a pet project, as your own project. And the other thing that would happen is that you simultaneously build a portfolio. So when you go to interviews afterwards, you will not just be saying, hey, I don't have a job, I'm very good, I can answer your questions, but I haven't worked in this industry. You can go and say, look at my work. I've built this application and this application and this other application. I've done them in my spare time. they are my own projects. Fair enough, I haven't got the chance to work for a company, but I am committed and I've done this, and I have some exposure to building software.
Okay, understand. Thank you, Andrei.
But everything else was very good. You're logic. You have a logical approach. You think through problems. Sorry. One thing I liked is that you take your time to answer a question. That is very good in a technical interview. You don't rush. You're honest, which is another big plus. That when you don't know something or when you didn't understand something, you are honest and asked for clarification. Again, a very good approach. And overall, I think for me, I would hire you, basically.
Yes, we will all hire you.
Great.
Congratulations. So this was an interesting interview. I hope our questions and our advices helped you and will help you in some way in the future.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Igor, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Well, and you. So, thank you very much. Adios. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
With this interview. So maybe later I'll ask something, okay?
Sure. You can add us on LinkedIn and we can talk there.
Directly, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. This was great, really.
We are pleased to hear that.